Hey, good morning, gang, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I think we'll go ahead and get started here. And thank you for joining us today for this presentation of taking your business to the next level with Spectrum Construction Software. I am Heather Smith. You'll be hearing my voice for the next, let's call it 45 minutes or so. I want to leave a bit of time at the end for any questions that may pop up as we run through this. But really, I think I want to dive right into the product and start talking about ways that Spectrum can ease your business needs, really can be a part of your entire corporate ecosystem by providing a complete integrated business management solution that's going to connect your entire workforce. We aim for our software to be comprehensive and powerful, but simple to use. So if I'm doing my job right here today, we're going to see software that is easy to use, easy to navigate, easy to get information out of and put information into, and has something to offer for nearly everybody in your organization. So we're really aiming to span the whole cradle to grave operations or the soup to nuts side of your business, everything from business development and sales and marketing challenges that you may face to recruitment and applicant tracking, all the way through to the day-to-day accounting operations and project management operations of your company. So we're going to touch on a lot of that today. And then also, if I'm doing my job here as well, you'll see that it's flexible and customizable, and it allows users, no matter their role in the company, to look at data that's going to be relevant to them in ways that make sense to them. So that's the goal, is to give you an overview, a flyover of the software. I'll talk about some of our partnerships, partner products, and the ways that they integrate with Spectrum, and really give you a view of what you may see from a variety of different roles, or from the perspective of a handful of different people within your organization. So with that big long lead in there, what I will do is make this lovely spokes model here disappear, and we will hop on into the software itself. And just a reminder, most of us are probably fairly familiar with the GoToWebinar control panel, but there is a little orange arrow that will allow you to hide the controls if they're on your screen and blocking the view at all. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and hop right into the product. And actually here, I'm already signed in, but we're going to back us up here for a moment. And there's a few different roles that I'm going to sign in as so that you can get an idea of perhaps what, let's say, project managers in your organization might see within the software, what management or ownership might see, let's say general managers or owners of the company when they sign into the software. We'll take a view of the world as, say, an employee who is only maybe in there to do things like retrieve pay stubs or W-2s or check in on, let's say, training or certification milestones. We can look at the world through the perspective of maybe a service technician who's outperforming, for those companies that have an arm or a division that tackles service needs. We've got an entire suite of products to cover your service solution there. We'll take a look at some field data capture options for superintendents or project managers. We're just going to do it all. So what I'll start with is logging in as though I were a project manager. Now, to take a step back, one of the ways that we aim to save you money, we're all about your bottom line and helping you be more productive as a company and helping facilitate growth. One of the ways that we do that is through offering this browser-based or cloud-hosted solution. So rather than having to maintain, a server in the closet in your office, we can do that for you. And this solution, whether or not, you host it yourself, which is an option, or whether we host it for you, you're going to deploy the software through a browser. So you're going to access it through a browser, which means not only are you going to be able to get to the software from your office, from your computer at your desk, it also means in terms of mobility, we've got a lot more flexibility for access. It means if you're on an iPad or a tablet, you can get to the system. It means if you're halfway across the country working in a remote location, as long as you've got a browser and a connection, you can get to the software. So think of that in terms of lower cost of ownership, rather than having to deal with touching things on each workstation or updating, service packs on each computer. All you do is fire up the browser. So this here that we're looking at now is a sample dashboard that somebody on maybe the operations side of the table in your company would see. This is a sample project manager dashboard. And I say that because we've got, in this case, a specific list of jobs or projects, this my job indicator here, that I'm running, and everything else, all of these other dashboard elements or all of these other panels, we call them dashboard apps. So all of these other apps are geared toward showing me what I need to do with respect to these particular jobs or projects. So this is my notification engine, really. This is meant to be quick heads up visual representations of the stuff that I need to do or what I need to get my job done. So again, the goal is an integrated solution that's going to connect your entire workforce. So that means connecting your project managers with your accountants. It means connecting your employees, with your HR personnel. It means connecting anybody in your business through this software solution. So list of jobs and projects that I'm running pops up here, and then everything else on here is giving me information related to those particular projects. So in a few of the examples I've got here, we've got stuff like unapproved AP invoices that have been routed to me. When you think about being able to approve AP from wherever you are, whether that's out in a job trailer, whether that's in the office, whether that's on your couch at home, that really allows the process to move a lot more quickly and smoothly, fewer bottlenecks. You're not having to chase somebody down with a file folder of invoices they need to approve. Instead, they've got visibility on what needs to be done, and you have visibility, or back in the office, there's visibility on what needs to be done. So unapproved AP invoices, same thing with other workflow assignments. One of the items that we're going to tackle is the fact that there's built-in intelligence and workflows that automate tasks and processes within your company. That might be things like purchase order approval. That might be things like daily field reports or job logs that come in, from the job sites that need approval, perhaps from a project manager. Maybe it's things like setting up new jobs that require several different people within your organization to eyeball or spot check or make sure it's okay. With our workflow engines, you can route different sorts of tasks and documents and items around through your company and make sure the proper people see them before they, let's say, become active or available for use, or before they're closed out, or before those, let's say, purchase orders are sent to our vendors. So the idea that you've got one consolidated workflow engine for sending things around to different people within your company means everybody has visibility on what it is that they need to do, and you're sharing information across the organization. So workflow assignments is a great one. Both the unapproved invoices, workflow assignments, those are good tools to have on everybody's dashboard, because we all have things that are going to be routed to us, invoices that perhaps we need to sign off on, and having instant visibility from the moment you sign in can be a very useful tool. Things similarly, time cards to review. As we move toward mobile payroll collection, or we'll just call it, mobile data capture, the idea is that you're able to get time, let's say time and equipment hours and perhaps production quantities in from the field on a daily basis. That stands to reason folks back in the office or project managers are going to want to sign off on that time that's been collected, so there are tools to approve time. And just to talk through some of the other stuff we're looking at here, managing your project forecast, or your cost to complete, or your cost at completion, is an important part of managing your WIP. So it may be that you want to put reminders on your dashboard of jobs where you haven't updated a forecast recently. Or open documents. This might be RFIs or submittals or meeting minutes or transmittals or daily logs, issues, memos, change proposals, those sorts of things. This dashboard element here is showing me what do I have open or overdue. So the idea is to take some of the burden of remembering things off of your folks and instead present it on the dashboard in a way that's easy to see, in a way that's constantly refreshing. It's real-time information related to needing to, what they need to do to get their jobs done. So you get a dashboard when you sign in. It's meant to remind you of things and keep things on your radar. There's that old adage that you can't manage what you can't see. So we certainly want to give everybody good visibility on what it is they need to do. This is a customizable environment, so everybody is going to choose for themselves how much or how little they really want on their dashboard here. I've got about 6 or 7 on here, 7 if I can count. And I could put more stuff on here just by using the settings button in terms of establishing the dashboard or building out the dashboard. We wanted to make this easy too. People are going to abandon a tool that isn't easy to use. They're going to go back to relying on a select few people in the office to do the stuff for them. So we do aim to make this an easy to use and easy to learn tool so that you get more buy-in from people across the entire enterprise. So if there's something I want to add to my dashboard, let's just grab this one here, jobs near completion. I drag it over, I drop it off into any of these, anywhere in the middle of the screen, and that's going to add that item to my dashboard. So then when I save out of here, that dashboard element is going to be waiting for me, and there we can see active jobs near completion has been added. So Easy to set these dashboards up. They are customizable by each person, so depending on your role and your responsibilities, you're going to see different things on your dashboard or choose from a different library of options. The other thing, in addition to being customizable, or in addition to allowing everybody to set up their own dashboard, this really is one of the easiest ways to get where you're going in the system. So again, I'm going to keep harping on the idea that this is intended to be a simple to use product for everybody. And to that end, one of the easiest ways to navigate through the system is simply to click on any of these dashboard elements and it'll take you where you need to go. So if I want to open up a job, or if I want to approve unapproved AP invoices, click on the dashboard element and that'll drill you right into the system. So there's a one-click mentality that we tried to really have deep into the system so that you can get nearly anywhere you need to go with just a click or two. So what I've done now is I've brought us into this invoice approval queue where I can take a look at AP that needs my attention. And I did this because it's also a good opportunity to talk about our integrated document management tools. So within the system, anywhere that you see this, we call it a slider bar, but anywhere you see this gray panel, if I open it up or expand it, that's going to show me attached documents, or it's going to allow me to review and also add documents to a particular transaction. So in the case of invoice approval, I've got a box here full, or an inbox, or a list full of invoices that need my attention. As I choose anything from the list, those particular documents are going to be displayed right in context here on the screen. So I have visibility to not only the list of things that need my attention, but also the unique attached images here, and then I can go about the process of approving or rejecting these invoices without, all on one screen. Now, we're a little limited in my ability to demonstrate this over the webinar interface, but you can actually detach this document imaging panel as well, send it onto another screen. So if you're working with documents regularly, if you're approving a lot of invoices, or if you're, let's say, working in project management and you've got a lot of attachments, let's say, that accompany an RFI, you can detach this document imaging window into its own browser tab, drag it onto another monitor, make it larger than life, and now you're working with a full-size, full-screen image on its own monitor. So that's a tool here. This little pop-out window sends it off to another browser tab entirely. So anywhere you see that document imaging panel within the system, anytime you see this slider bar, it means there's the opportunity to review or to add or store documents. And the way that things get in here is actually just by dragging and dropping. So just to demonstrate this here, if I go to my documents folder here, I've got some AP invoices. We'll just attach an additional invoice to this particular transaction. All you have to do is drag something in here into the document panel and drop it off. So easy to attach documents. You can add as many as you need to a given transaction. You just keep pulling things in there. Whee, it's kind of fun. So that's the simple process of attaching documents into the system. Simply drag them from anywhere. You can drag them from your desktop. You could drag them from a network directory. You could drag them in from your email. Drop documents off to attach them. So I mentioned I was going to do a couple of different users. I was going to show you what different types of folks might see. It's always a good opportunity also to mention that security configurability is very robust. So from the moment somebody signs in, security considerations kick in to determine what dashboard elements they are permitted to see, what sorts of places in the system they can go from the moment we sign in. So there's definitely a lot that you can do or configure or customize with security to make sure that people are only seeing the information that they really absolutely need to see. So if this is my project manager dashboard, I'm going to sign out for a moment here and just show you a couple other sample dashboards for what different types of users might see. I'll sign in as more of a, let's say, executive type role. In this case, what you're going to see is still a dashboard, still a set of dashboard elements that let me know, in this case, how the company is doing, less geared toward a specific list of jobs or projects, and more the how healthy is the company view of the world. So in this case, I've got things like visibility on which project managers perhaps are generating the most revenue for me. I have visibility on cash flow across the jobs, which jobs are making money, which jobs are we experiencing profit fade in, or which jobs are in a negative cash flow position. We've got visibility on customer aging. What do our customers owe us? What do we owe our vendors? Maybe it's just what's in the bank. Maybe it's a simple dashboard element here that shows me what we've got in the various bank accounts that are set up within the system. You'll see some familiar elements here like the workflow assignments. That's one that perhaps everybody is going to have, unapproved invoices, that sort of thing. So some shared elements across your different types of users, but the goal is that each person sees what's most important to them. So in this example, I'm still able to drill down on anything here, but it's giving me the higher level 30,000 foot view, let's say, of how is the company doing instead of a list of particular jobs. I can still drill into anything here. So if I'm curious, let's say which jobs are in a negative cash flow position, this is going to show me, in this case, the bottom 10 worst offenders here. And if there's a particular project I want to open up and get into in more detail, I use the dashboard and it's going to take me there. So ease of use, again, a couple of clicks to get down into the information that you want to see the most. And from there, you can even continue to drill in to get into more specific details. I'm going to walk through some of the other navigational tools in just a moment, but I just want to show us a few more sample dashboards. You get the idea in terms of the information, the way that a user logs in, but there's a few different types of people that may need access to the system in slightly different ways. One of those might be an employee. So we have an employee portal that offers access to folks to come in and get, let's say, payroll check stubs, or perhaps a W-2 or a 1095-C, or maybe if you allow them to enter time, the opportunity to put their time straight into the system or review HR-type certification and training milestones, things that have expired or when they're going to expire. So this particular example is someone that probably isn't going to be in the system more than to, grab a check stub or drop their time in here, but they still get access, in this case, in a model that doesn't consume one of your user licenses. So you can extend access to everybody in your company, really, without having, in this case, in the kiosk environment, without having it count as one of your licensed users. So it's a way to really provide and expand access to the solution to everybody in your company. So in this case here, I have the opportunity to pull up a payroll check or to grab the most current or recent year's W-2 in here. This is going to look pretty familiar, I think, when this pulls up here. And the idea, again, is self-service. So rather than having to rely on someone in the office to prepare this information for them, let's say they lose their W-2 or they need one mid-year, they can come in themselves and get it. So that's the idea behind the kiosks. In this case, the employee kiosk or employee portal allows everyone in the company to log in here. Last thing that I'll do is the idea of viewing the world through maybe a service technician standpoint. If you've got service operation, one of the tools to facilitate speedy billing or to make sure you're getting information in from the field so that you can invoice very quickly would be to use a solution like this to allow technicians to see their own assignments, to actually clock in to a particular work order and work their way through. So this service tech tool is the field solution for your service technicians, where they can add labor, notes, attach photos, request purchase orders, or record material usage, and easily get back to a dashboard to see the different assignments that they've got to work their way through. So this allows you to extend access to everybody, those out there in the field, as well as, let's say, your dispatchers or call takers, folks who are facilitating that office side of things. But this service tech is a mobile optimized tool that works great on tablets. For example, if you've got tablets in your service vans, they're riding around out to perform the work order, they can easily clock in, add their time, add their materials. That information is all captured in real time, so you're able to more quickly bill. That selective memory that tends to happen after a couple weeks have passed, you can definitely cut down on the incidence of people not remembering what you sent your tech out to go do. So different solutions for different people in the organization. So those are a few sample dashboards. I wanted to give an idea of how this solution can encompass your entire workforce, or how you can roll a whole lot of people into using the software. Now then, I'm going to sign back in as more of that project manager type user. And I want to talk a little bit more about getting information out of the system. I mentioned earlier that people will abandon a tool that isn't easy to use. If it's too difficult to get the information out, people will continue to rely on those certain power users in your company to get to the information. We wanted to make Spectrum a very easy self-service option so that everybody can get to the information they need. And one of the easiest examples is to talk about extracting or digging into information about how a particular job or project is going. So what I'm going to do is open up one of these jobs. Let's see. Let's use this one here. And with just a click, I can get into this particular project and I can see how this job is going in terms of contract value and profitability. I can see things like over under billing, percent complete. We've got visibility on cash flow, costs and hours in the middle of the screen. This is showing me how are we doing in terms of job to date costs, job to date hours. Contrast that against your projected or forecasted costs and hours, your estimated costs and hours. You've got variance here. This is showing me down below change management information. So I've got changes visible as they work their way through the life cycle of a change, from a proposal to, let's say, a verbal notice to proceed. We call that an approved change, to one that you've got signed and you're able to bill for, that would be executed. And then things like historic billing information here. So this is really the mountaintop view of the finances of a project. And I often say I'm grossly oversimplifying here, but I often think of project management as being two sort of buckets or columns, if you will. In one column or one bucket, you've got the money, the dollars and cents of running the job. And then on the other side, you've got the documents. Now, there's also a schedule component, certainly, that goes into that. But I think of the money, and I think of the paper, the documents. So in this case, this is showing us the finances of the job at a nice high level. You know, how are we doing on cash flow? How far along are we? What have we incurred in terms of cost? But we can also drill into our project documentation as well. And I'm going to use this side of the screen. We call this the info bar to get there. And what's happening here with this info bar is that Spectrum is presenting me with a whole host of information specifically related to this job that I've got open in the center of the screen. So if I've got this particular theater project open here, and this is showing me the high level, what we call job analysis view of the project, this side of the screen is going to allow me to splinter off into different directions. And I often call this Project Management Central over here. We refer to it as the info bar. I've heard customers come up with a lot of cute other names for it as well. I heard somebody, they just said, we're going to call it the martini bar. It's easy to remember that way. But it's technically called the info bar. It's giving you information about what you're already looking at here in greater depth. So what this is allowing us to do is navigate to different places in the job without needing to leave the screen. What I've heard people tell me a lot of times is you may be pulled in half a dozen different directions at any given moment when you're managing a project. And so you might have somebody call you and you need to all of a sudden pull up an existing, let's say, purchase order or something. Or you might have somebody call and need to see information on a daily log from a couple of weeks ago, or site photos. Or maybe you've got approval on a change order and you need to go over and flip a flag and notate that that change is now approved. Those sorts of things. And if you had to leave what you were doing every time and get back to a more traditional menu structure or close out of the screen that you're in to do that, you're wasting a little bit of time and it's easy to lose track of where you were. So what this info bar allows you to do is to move easily between the different sorts of tasks that you're naturally going to be called to do over the course of a day. So that's a very long lead-in for me to take us into this project log where we're storing documents or managing documents on a project. So if this is the money of the project, if I hop into this project log, this is going to be all of my different categories of logs and documents that I need to keep track of on a project. And this is one-stop shopping for all of those different types of logs. It's an aggregated screen where you're able to see change requests, correspondence, daily logs, RFIs, meeting minutes, photos, issues, memos, submittals, those sorts of things that you're going to need to store on a project. And you'll notice over here with my document imaging window, as I expand any of these logs, and I'll use the example of an RFI log here, as I expand this and choose something from the list here, let's grab this one, it's going to show me attached documents or drawings or anything that I may have stored along with this particular RFI. So this is where being able to drag in a whole host of different documents or drawings and store them right on screen here comes in handy. This is a very configurable or flexible screen as well, where you could decide using some tools like column choosers down here to see perhaps RFIs all on their own, or perhaps with the concept of ball and court tracking, you want to just see stuff organized by person, you know, whose responsibility is it, whose court is the ball in. Maybe ahead of a project meeting, you just want to see, you know, I'm sitting down with my engineer, I need to see everything where I've assigned the ball and court to them. Those are tools. So this project log here is intended to be one-stop shopping for different types of project documents, There's email integration that happens in here, so you have the opportunity to interface with your mail client. I'll use Outlook just colloquially, but the ability to interact with or interface with or integrate with, that's a lot of I words, Outlook, so that emails that are sent out of the project or responses that come back in related to the project can all be stored here in the project log, and that happens in this correspondence heading here. So you're able to see all of the different emails that may have come and gone related to this particular project, and that means that a whole lot of people working on the project can all store correspondence in here, and it's a shared document or a shared correspondence category that allows you or everybody working on the project to deposit things all in here. So rather than, let's say, saving emails into network directories where you've got a folder tree structure in there of different types of project documents and emails, you can store them all in the project log. So again, the idea is that it's a solution to connect your entire workforce, so you can have project management documents in here just the same as AP invoices and job billings and the whole kit and caboodle. So again, drag and drop. So if you have something else that needs to be attached in here, you just drag it in, drop it off, and it's going to be attached in here within document imaging. So hundreds of places in the system where you have the opportunity to store documents. So that's the project log in here. Now we even have a more robust solution for document management, which would be our plan room. So this project log is great for storing documentation and allowing you to email things to involved parties. But if you're looking for a more collaborative solution or more of a portal where you can invite people to come and interact with, review, add documents for projects that they're working on, Planroom can be a great tool for that. This is a hosted solution. It's the collaborative side of project management where you can provide access to people who are working on the project, whether that's subcontractors, architects, engineers, owners, customers, and allow them to come in here into the plan room using credentials that you give them to review documents. Maybe those are bid packages. There's an invitation to bid component to plan room. Maybe those are addenda, drawings, whatever it is that you may need to store, whatever sorts of plans. It's a plan room. It's not terribly dissimilar from Dropbox. Nice thing is that it connects with the rest of Spectrum's tools, so it becomes a component of project management right within the system. So let's see. Let's open up one of these projects here to give you an idea of what Planroom offers. I often refer to it as something of an expansion pack to project management, and that if you've got very deep document management needs, Planroom is a great accessory for that. But it allows you to set up a document structure within the project for your drawings, your permits, your photos, submittals. There's great submittal tracking in here and assigning ball and cord as that moves through the process. You can establish bid packages in here, monitor communication, invite folks to bid. There's a pre-qual tool for your subs as well. So this expands access out externally outside of your organization now as well. So not only can we enroll everybody who works for your company in using the system, but you can get collaborative with other people involved on the project team, or external companies can come in and use these solutions to communicate with you and to push information back into the system. So Planroom is another project management tool. But really I use the info bar to demonstrate that there are ways to get around through the system that don't require using a menu structure that oftentimes is organized in a very accounting-centric way. I say that, and now I'm going to open it up for us. The sitemap is going to show you all of the modules that you actually own or have access to. So this is showing me the world organized by module. So from here, if I wanted to do things like move into AP and do, let's say, some data entry here, I can do that. So you've still got the traditional menu system. If this is a more comfortable way for folks to navigate, you can certainly use the menu to move through the system. The other thing, this side of the screen actually that says favorites at the top, this is a way that you can take a very large comprehensive tool that's meant to cover your entire company and shrink it down or distill it down to just the pieces that each user needs. So this is a user-defined favorites panel here. It's very much like your web favorites, but it's the places that you find yourself going all the time. So this might be, if setting up jobs is something I do quite often, I might put job setup as a favorite. If I am responsible for billing, or if I find myself running a WIP schedule regularly or creating purchase orders, you can add those things to your favorites, and then they're just a click away. So again, that one-click mentality extends to the user-defined ability to set up favorites here and let you scoot around through the system. This can be opened or closed at all times, so I'm only ever just a click away from the things that I find myself naturally doing most often. And this is easy to create as well. If there's something like, let's use invoice approval as an example, something that I want on my favorites, there is this lovely star that appears out to the side of any of these menu selections. It can be an entire module or a selection within there. I click that gold star, and that's what adds it to my favorites over here. So it's easy to build these. So you can set up your own customizable list of the things that you find yourself doing over and over again. This can be particularly useful if there's somebody who's not using the system all that often. You can set up favorites of the things that you're going to do when you do hop in here, and then it's going to make it very easy to access from right here on the favorites. So that is the sitemap, and actually if you just kind of cruise down the list here, you'll see this module listing really does span not only across the entire organization, but because we work with contractors in all verticals of construction, there are tools here to meet the needs of anyone from electrical contractors, heavy highway, road builder type companies, GCs, those specialty contractors, the mechanical contractors, really anyone that builds anything, anyone in construction at all. We've got tools to meet your needs here. So that's a list of all of our modules. And there's a couple other things under the heading of the flexibility and customization to look at data that's relevant to you in ways that make sense. There's a few screens that I like to dive into in terms of, let's say, getting into job costs, because really at the end of the day, the job is king, and managing the project and making sure the project is going well is really what you're all there to do. So a few screens that I like to visit with respect to job costs in more detail are this cost activity, and then a couple other material and subcontract screens can be useful. So this cost activity, and I'm going to use the info bar to get there because it's very easy to move through the world just using the info bar here. Cost activity is a way to drill into your detailed project costs. The ability to drill down on information and get back to the source transactions is important, especially if you're reconciling something or wondering how you arrived at a particular figure. So this cost activity screen here, I call this a build your own report tool, because this allows you to customize the way you're looking at information to each person. So each user gets the opportunity to set this screen up in a way that feels most natural to them, and it's a way to drill down right back to the source transactions or to source commitments. So when you first land in here, I'm going to mess this screen up for a moment, but you first land in here and you've got a lot of information. Now, this type of screen, we call it a grid screen, where we've got different options for how to sort things. We've got columns that can be organized and drug around in here. This type of screen is in a lot of places in the system. I like to talk about it with respect to job costs because this tends to be one that gets the most used. But we give you like 63 columns, I think is the official number, of information related to project costs in here. So we've got information related to commitments, to estimated costs, actual costs, forecasted costs, and then we do all that in hours. You've got budgeted and forecasted and actual hours. Same thing with quantity, so productivity tracking. We've got estimated quantities, actual quantities, forecasted quantities. We've got price per unit, units per hour, all of that sort of information. That all lives in one screen. And it's more than any one person, project manager, company needs to successfully run the job. So I call it a build your own report tool because we give you the flexibility or the opportunity to decide which columns of information you want to see and how you want to see them. So I could decide in here using this little column chooser button that I don't need all of these. I don't need to see 63 columns of information to successfully manage a project. But maybe I just want a handful of these. I'm just going to grab a few. Oh, let's grab those ones. I choose the columns I want to see, and now this becomes a lot more manageable, left to right anyway. And I can decide what order I want these columns in. I can decide how wide I want them. I can drag them around and reorganize them. But now this is a lot more manageable. I'm not having to scroll to see things going on the screen, and I've got a handful of pieces of information related to this particular job lined up the way I want it, at least left to right. Now, top to bottom, I still have quite a bit going on. This particular project has a whole host of what we call phase codes. You can think of them as cost codes, activity codes, task codes, work breakdown codes. So we call them a phase. And I've got a lot of cost types within each of these phases. So, for this sheet metal line item, I've got some labor, some material, some other overhead. I've got some labor burden. Each line repeats. So to that end, if I wanted to summarize it just by the phase code itself, I could drag these column headings down. So that is going to show me now one line per phase. Another way I might do this is to drag down my cost type. And now I'm seeing one line per cost type. And if I'm curious where my material costs have been incurred, I can expand that line. If I want to see equipment, if I've got equipment I'm using on this particular job, I can see that. If I want to dig into subcontractors on the project, I can see that. And then from here, I can choose to dig into the information that lives behind this job stay cost figure or the committed cost. So if I were curious where this $46,000 came from, I can choose this history button and it's going to show me, in this case, the different invoices that have been coded to that particular phase code. It's going to allow me to even dig back in and access the image of that transaction. So this is a very flexible screen that lets you go from a very general view of how the job is doing right down into the details. And then you can save this as well. So I can tell the system, use this as my default moving forward. I want to see this configuration in the future as we move forward. I always want to see this information arranged the same way. So we give you the opportunity to save it. Again, it's just a way that folks can interact with the software in a way that feels most natural to them. It's a way that you can customize and more flexibly interact with the information in your projects. And I'm able then to decide what information is most relevant to me, and I can see just the stuff that I want to see in the way that I want to see it. So these screens, these grid screens, can also be popped out to Excel. So getting information out of the system easily is another priority of ours, whether that's making it easy to run reports a variety of ways, making it easy to configure the information the way you want to see it, making it possible to extract information straight out to Excel with just a click or two. That's all part of the design of making information and accessing information flexible and accessible. So we got tiny Excel there, but that opens us up, that grid screen, with all the same sorting and grouping options that I had, and would allow me to send that around to somebody, let's say, from there. Now, I mentioned at the outset here that I was going to be talking about some of our other partner products, and that is because truly we are committed to integrating with anything that our customers really find useful or best-of-breed tools. And we've created some partnerships or forged some partnerships with products that really allow us to offer more solutions for your business. So along those lines, we have things like a talent management solution. So this Spectrum Talent Management allows you to streamline and expedite and automate everything from applicant tracking, employee evaluations, the hiring and onboarding process, and to manage things like succession planning, education and training. Let's see if Heather remembers her password here. But when we talk with construction companies, one of the hugest concerns, or one of the challenges facing the industry as a whole, is the ability to recruit qualified applicants and to make sure you're getting the best quality applicants and as many of them as possible. Let's see, looks like I got that wrong here. Password. We will try this again. Okay. So this is a tool for those companies that have needs around recruiting, engagement, employee retention. So the applicant tracking tool comes even with a variety of different modules: applicant tracking, onboarding, succession planning, employee development, coaching and feedback, planning for succession, developing the future leadership of your company, really, and being able to build the best team possible. So some of the specifics here, this allows you to do things like create job openings and post out to a variety of job boards, allows you to post to your own websites or through social media type platforms, and engage with people the way that they're naturally inclined to move through the world. So if you can post to your own LinkedIn site or to Facebook, or send out job postings to Twitter, easier to reach more people. more quickly, and we make that process very easy. You know, it allows onboarding to be a lot more streamlined and to be done electronically or from a mobile device, for instance. So there's a whole ability to track, you know, candidate pools, job openings, to facilitate easier onboarding, and to make sure your employees stay engaged. You know, keeping your workforce engaged and making sure that they're, you know, shooting for the stars in terms of, you know, the development of their own career. This allows you tools to do that as well. Things like, so that's Spectrum Talent Management. There are business development tools, sales and marketing resources, CRM, in the form of this Top Builder solution tool here. This is a link that we put in here that seems to not be working. And that's fine. The idea here is tools like customer relationship management, lead management, specifically designed for construction companies here, is going to allow you to manage leads, to create things like marketing campaigns and newsletters and stay in touch with those leads, reports and analytics on your sales pipeline, lead activity, sales analysis, that sort of information. But it allows you to do things like manage leads, accounts, contacts, and stay in touch with and effectively promote your own products and services to your customers, to prospective customers. There are data migration tools here as well, so you're able to push and pull information back and forth between Spectrum, so you can get all of your customers set up in here, and if you bid jobs and are awarded those jobs, you're able to have these push out to Spectrum and actually create the jobs, you know, within Spectrum proper. So this is just a whole host of other solutions that we've brought into the ecosystem to allow you to really manage your jobs and projects more effectively. You know, for some of our also very service-heavy customers, folks that have a lot of dispatching and service, you know, work order type needs, we also have a partnership with a product called Field Connect that allows you to capture data from the field and dispatch that sort of information, make field assignments. So that's another partnership, Field Connect. The goal is, you know, we want to be able to help you streamline your operations and you know, create the integrated business management solution that touches all corners of your company. So I haven't talked much about equipment. I mean, really all of the day-to-day things like billing your projects, you know, creating AP invoices, routing those for approval, paying your checks, paying your employees, certified payroll reports, creating your, you know, various union tables and managing all of your prevailing wage and Davis-Bacon type requirements. All of that is in the system. Definitely for folks with equipment needs, you know, we've got the ability to set up your entire fleet of equipment in here and manage their maintenance schedules, create work orders, treat each piece of equipment really as its own profit center, where you get visibility on what is this piece of equipment making you as it operates on the project here, and to drag us down into a financial snapshot of this piece of equipment. But for those heavy highway folks, for example, being able to manage each piece of equipment and then get visibility on profit both this year, but then over the life of the piece of equipment to see what is it making us for each hour that it operates, or what is it costing us each hour that we turn this piece of equipment on. It's good to help you track actually, you know, for the meat and potatoes of your business, you know, where's our equipment failing us, or where are we making all the money on our equipment. So again, you'll notice an info bar here. This is a concept throughout the system, the ability to keep track of different information related to what you're looking at in the middle of the screen here. So that's most of the, we'll call it high-level stuff that I wanted to hit. I wanted to make sure we talked about some of the partner products. I wanted to make sure we got an overview of what different types of people might see when they log into the system. I wanted to give you a feel for getting information out. The fact is that there's, you know, no information in the system that actually can't be delivered to the dashboard through one of these dashboard elements. These are simply, I mean, to get nitty-gritty about what's going on behind the scenes, these are SQL views. So any information in the SQL database, you know, we have a SQL database is what's underneath all of this, but if there's any information in the system at all that you want to deliver to the dashboard, that's possible. You know, we can do that here, but we also provide a toolkit that allows you to create them yourself. So anything at all, any performance indicators, any key metrics that are really critical to how you do business, any information that's stored in here can be delivered to the dashboard. So the idea is as soon as you log in, we want to give you visibility on the pieces of information that really relate to the way you do business, and the information that you want to have in the hands of your people more specifically. So what I thought I'd do at this point is let's just see if we have any questions. It actually doesn't look like we do, so that's pretty excellent. I wanted to keep it fairly short and sweet and high level, but to give you a taste of what the software looks like, what it's capable of, how it can really span all arms of your company. And certainly, if you have any questions, feel free to fire an email off to us after this. Since it doesn't look like we have anything I need to answer, I think we'll wrap it up for this morning. And really thank you for your time and for taking the time to see how Spectrum can help you take your business to the next level. Have a lovely day, and I will sign us off here. Thanks, gang.